Here's an idea thing for the bell for each character in my each series of my fan trailers. Let's go. Marvel Comics. Dr. Michael Morbius versus Man-Bat from DC Comics. They are human scientists who to try and deal with their illness to deal with their condition, deafness, and an unknown disease. In the case of Morbius, became bats, and we got like creatures, a vampire in the case of Morbius, and a normal bat in the case of Man-Bat as a result. Winter Schnee versus Cocytus from Overlord. Both are cryokinetic members of a high order that acts in service of a major power. James Ironwood and Ainsworth Gown. Super Mario Waluigi versus Dick Datcherley from Wacky Races. Thin, spindly men known for their cheating and have a small companion. Wario and Muttley. Scott the Woz matchup is Dr. Anna May versus Bootleg Michael Jackson from JonTron. The connections between these two are that they are borderline guardian characters of their respective type of medias, bootlegs, and an anime, and no virginity in the case of Dr. Anime. And both only got involved in the lives of our series protagonists, Scott and John, after doing something in relation to what they're tied to. Scott, due to not being a huge fan of anime games, and bootleg Michael Jackson, after JonTron played all 51 games on a bootleg console. For Danganronpa, I go with Komaru Naegi versus Kaikana Griff from Red vs. Blue. Younger sisters of the pretty much major characters of their series. Makoto Naegi and Dexter Griff, who are part of a and these younger sisters are part of a major organization, the Future Foundation, and Blue Team, and whereas Kaikana is more an honorary member of Blue Team due to her relations with Tucker, other which their groups and battles against a more morally corrupt force. Ultimate Despair and in the UN and the more corrupt side of the UNSC. Peanuts. Charlie Brown versus Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. Little kids from newspaper comics. Garfield. Nermal versus Scrappy-Doo from Scooby-Doo. Tiny almost pet-like dogs and cats that are part of became on-again, off-again members of their series' cast. Both of which have some tie to Garfield and Scooby, respectively. Nermal being owned by Garfield's owner John's parents, and Scrappy being Scooby-Doo's nephew. Homestar Runner, I would go with Coach Z versus Wii Fit Trainer from Wii Fit. Both are are sports trainers with notable white flash, with Coach Z's head being white and Refit Trainer's skin being almost ghost white. Sonic the Hedgehog, I go with Blaze versus Ribbit. Alternate universe versions of Sonic and Ratchet. It's not much, but it's something. Kazuma. For Konosuba, it's Kazuma versus Subaru from ReZero. Popular isekai protagonists that were major characters in Isekai Quartet. Yeah, that's it. For Winnie the Pooh, we're gonna go with Tigger versus Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes. Plush tigers that were brought to life because of a normal human and kid. Christopher Robin and Calvin. Pokemon, I would go with Gengar versus Sans from Undertale. Perpetually smiling undead beings, often seen as the more powerful of their evolutionary line, of their group of people. Gengar being the most powerful of the ghastly evolutionary line, and Sans being arguably more powerful than Papyrus in terms of his abilities and as shown in Undertale. For My Hero Academia, I'd go with Bakugo versus Rexplode. The explosion using members of the next generation of heroes, which is headlined by someone who is either a ideological or biological son of their world's greatest hero, most renowned heroes. All Might being All Might for Deku and Omni-Man for Mark. DC Comics, I would go with Cyborg versus Frankie. Cyborg members of teams who have a close, or just generally close to their teammates, with the Teen Titans and the Straw Hat Pirates. For Monsters Inc., I'd go with Mike Wazowski versus Crumb from All Real Monsters. Both are monsters who are short and have something to do with their eyes as their major monster gimmick. Mike with being cycloptic, and Crumb having to carry his eyes in his hands or mouth. For Five Nights at Freddy's, I'll go with Glitch Trap versus Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club. Malicious pieces of AI who can affect the world they live in. Then up is Demon Slayer. Nezuko Okamoto versus Alphonse Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist. The younger siblings of their series protagonists, Tanjiro Kamado and Edward Elric, who had been transformed by the inciting incident. Ed and Al trying to bring back their mother and Tanjiro in the demon attack that killed most of his family. Both serve as an ally to their respective older brother. Street Fighter. Guy Hill versus Stroheim from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's literally just pretty much World War II. Pretty much an American soldier versus robot Nazi. Yeah, that's an actual sentence I had to say. Darkstalkers, Jedidoma versus Grimm from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Both are different adaptations of death. For Gargoyles, I'd go with David Xanathos versus Vlad Plasmius from Danny Phantom, being the main antagonist of of kid shows that, quote unquote kid shows, the Gargoyles is arguably far more mature, or basically became more of a cult classic, and it's mature. Shows became more loved in more mature audiences, but still have a lot of child audience who seem to have some tie to their series protagonist. David Xanathos being the person who brought the Manhattan clan of gargoyles back from their 1,000-year stone sleep, and Vlad Plasmius is having a vendetta against Jack Fenton, the father of Danny Fenton. For Fire Emblem, I'm going with Lucina versus Katana from Mortal Kombat. Blue-clad princesses. It's not much, but it's something. For Dragon Quest, we have Terry versus Raido from Shimagami Tensei. Characters who have a great deal of magic and can summon monsters from their respective series. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Regan versus Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a battle between small beings that control giant mechs. For League of Legends, I went with Fiddlesticks versus Parallax from DC Comics. It's ancient beings tied to fear. I realized I could have had him fight the Dweller in Darkness, and it's just the same general connections. But let me have this. There's one thing. Predator. Oh, it's Scarface versus the Neutralizer from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Actually, I went with Fishface versus Mercury Black from Ruby. Metal Leg Assassin A-Holes who work in service of their series. This early big bad, the Shredder and Cinderfall. Before a later big bad came in, being Super Shredder and Salem. And it was Team Fortress 2, where I went with The Heavy versus Mr. Incredible. This is a strong American man versus a strong Russian man who both operated around the 50s and 60s. Which was during the Cold War. So yeah, this is actually just Cold War, but strong people edition. For Red vs. Blue, I went with Felix versus Roman Tortwick from Ruby. The charismatic quote-unquote main villains from Rooster Teeth shows, both of which were taken down 2 seasons after they were introduced, being in season 13 of Red vs. Blue for Felix, and volume 3 of Ruby for Roman Torchwick. For Tankman, I go with Steve versus Darnell from Pico School. The closest male associate to John Captain and two Newgrounds icons, Tankman and Pico, both of which were well known due to their birth before hose ideologies when it comes to their allies. For Powerpuff Girls, I went with Blossom versus Raleigh from Dr. Slump. They were powerful warrior characters that were created by somewhat well-respected scientists who were kind of going through a dark period. Professor Utonium being trapped in Townsville during its biggest crime wave before the Powerpuff Girls were brought to life. And Dr. Masharita and Dr. Norimaki when he started to go on to become known as Dr. Slump. Both brought great prestige to their father's name, seeing their creators not only as their creator, but their father. For Wreck-It Ralph, I had King Andy versus Turbo I did Turbo versus the Phantom Virus from Scooby-Doo in the Cyber Chase. Video game viruses. So, computer viruses from kids' movies. While we're taking down their movie's protagonist, Scooby-Doo and Ralph, through destruction of through the defeat of and that kind of their defeat have brought a form of justice back into their respective worlds, with the creator of the Phantom Virus being arrested and the world of Sugar Rush Rally having its rightful ruler, Vanellope von Schweetz, put back in power. For American Dragon Jake Long, I went with Hunts Girl versus Jennika from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Both were members indoctrinated by the main villains of their series, the Hunts Clan and the Foot Clan, who became close with their series protagonists, the Ninja Turtles, and being Jake Long and the Ninja Turtles, both became sort of de facto members of their group. And went against that indoctrination. You understand that would probably work better this way. Karai's the better Ninja Turtles opponent for Hans Girl, but just let me have this. This is my excuse to put Jennika in this, and I'm going to. Anyway, then up is the Life and Times of Juniper Lee. We have King Anagoras of Aqualandia versus King Neptune from SpongeBob SquarePants. The kings of underwater societies being Atlantis and Aqualandia. Mega Man. For the Mega Man series, I went with Vile versus Ridley from Metroid. The purple cunning rivals of X and the cunning purple rivals of Ridley of Samus Aran and X. For My Life with the Teenage Robot, I went with Vexus versus Ragio from Kill la Kill. Alien dictators who were later taken down by their daughter and their close companion, being Ryuko and Mako for Ragio, and Vega and Jenny for My Life for Vexus. And then lastly, then it's Pirates of the Caribbean, which is Jack Sparrow versus Indiana Jones. Action movie badasses who are technically immortal. Jack Sparrow due to the curse put onto him, and Indiana Jones after he drank from the Holy Grail. Then lastly, Skylanders. Chill versus Kea from Genshin Impact. Both are powerful characters. Both were members of respective protecting groups. the Knights of Favronis, and of course the Royal Guard, the Ice Queen. And that has been every match, new matchup for every series on my Death Battle fan trailers. This is including the ones from my previous channel, New Master 69. Jackson Wade, or I forgot the Chowder matchup. Chowder and the SpongeBob matchup. And the Dragon Ball one. Dragon Ball is Krillin versus Koichi from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The insecure or short guys of allies of Goku and Josuke Higashikata. For SpongeBob, I went with Sandy versus Maggie from SMG4. Outsiders to the insanity of the main universe of Bikini Bottom and the SMG4 Mushroom Kingdom. Both of which were first shown off in their series due to their tough fighting spirit. Upon being discovered by their series' main protagonist, Mario and SMG4 Mario and SpongeBob. For Chowder, really lastly for Chowder, SpongeBob SquarePants, which is Schnitzel versus Mr. Gus from Uncle Grandpa, the no-nonsense powerhouses of balls to the walls, insane, in Cartoon Network shows, Chowder and Uncle Grandpa.